everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Everybody's here, at least for a minute. How's it going, guys?
I'm doing wonderful, getting ready to head out and go to the Kentucky Derby.
Nice.
Yeah, all excited, ready to go. First time ever going to the Kentucky Derby. It's been crazy. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on here in the world of Delco recently. So it's been a lot to digest for anybody who knows what's going on around here. It's been kind of funny all the way around. So I don't want to unload anything too much.
There you go. Information with no information.
Hey, have you? Well, if you Google Delco and there's been a lot that's been going on in Delco in the last 24 hours. There was a traffic incident that is making national headlines.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm working on around that at the moment.
Interesting. Okay.
No, we're not betting on a horse that's wearing black and gold. Sorry. No black and gold here. There ain't no Pittsburgh horses. There ain't nobody wearing black and gold. Sorry. The horse to bet on is Flying Mohawk.
Flying Mohawk. Yeah, that would be one. So you have a really nice pastel suit that you shared with us. Very nice. Very well done. What exactly is going to be the color scheme if you're allowed to paint your face? What are we going to be looking at here?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not exactly sure what'll match. So we're going to wing it a little bit. You know, it's like it's going to get the winging. You know, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming the original thought of the spearmint is probably out now.
Well, no, it looks like mint. Like that color is mint. If you notice in the picture that I sent you, I have a flower on my jacket along with a handkerchief
Mm-hmm.
and socks to match. So mint is the flavor.
All right.
Which is, I thought that's kind of maybe where your face paint was somewhat reflect, is having mint.
That's probably what it'll be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try my best. You know, ultimately, thank God I was able to get some Eagles glasses that will match.
There you go.
So we'll see how this all works out.
Just remember, if you can't put the face paint on, you can still do this spiky green mohawk with the glasses. At the very least, you can do that.
Yes, I can. So and will.
When you wear your glasses like that, it gives me the Beverly Hills Cop 2 vibe at the horse track.
There we go.
When the guy robbed his own racetrack.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so today like I said, I came on for just a few moments just to let you guys know that I'm going to be leaving here shortly, and have a good weekend. I will be back on again on Monday. I will be live from Nashville before I get on a plane.
Oh, okay.
Hotel?
Probably at the airport.
Okay. Nice.
Go hang out in the Nashville Predator bar. You'll like it there.
Well, I'll do my best to see if I can hang out there and have you
really
guys.
Good food.
What's that?
Really good food at the Nashville Predator bar. Really good food.
Oh, I got you.
Before I jump on a plane.
Now, you also said this about the curd place. He didn't like the curd place in Green Bay.
Because you have to have like a distinct palate for curds. Like even Peg said, like everyone was recommending Kroll's because they have like the palate for the cheese curds that Kroll's makes. You like every cheese curd is made differently in Wisconsin. Like you have to have like a very distinct palate to like every single curd.
Because we love curds.
I'd be passing on them. I'm not a fan of
I'm not sure what's occurred.
Cheese curd.
I know.
Fun with puns. That's what was going on.
Fun with puns, baby. Puns with puns.
Oh, man.
Never a dull moment here.
Right? Unless we're
I
talking
just
about
would like to say that I was not the one that actually did this moment. Usually you can blame that on me, but I was not to blame on this one. No, sir. No, sir.
We can always blame you.
Yeah, that's true. So that's what my daddy said. Oh. You know, it's interesting. Since we got to talk something Spurs. Popovich is no longer with the Spurs now.
He is with the Spurs, just not as a coach.
No, that's what I meant as a coach. Yeah, as a coach. And I don't know if that was him saying that. Did you? I didn't read the article. I don't know if that's him stepping down or if the league is or the team is saying, "Hey, for your health reasons, you need to step down."
I mean, it was probably a
mutual.
both.
Yeah, it was both.
Okay.
Like, the team basically told him, like, we're not going to force you to retire, but we also aren't going to wait forever for you to get back to 100%. We still want you as part of this organization. So Popovich is like, that's fine. I'll just take over as president then, and you can just keep the coach that we have now. Otherwise, I'll find a new head coach next year or whatever.
Because I think regardless of whether or not he's a coach or not, he's still going to have an influence on Wembanyama and the young talent molding of that team. I mean, he's going to be very much, which I think is really beneficial for the Spurs in terms of them getting back to prominence because their coaches are going to have Popovich as a reliable source that can give them information as well as the development of the players. I mean, it really is hugely beneficial for the Spurs to have him in that front office.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of like when Pat Riley went from being Miami's GM to back to being Miami's head coach, and then he's retired from being the head coach to become the president or whatever he is now in Miami. It's going to be a similar situation where everyone's still going to know who Popovich is. They're still going to go to him as if he was the coach. He's just going to have so much say on like the way the roster is constructed now.
And at 76 years old, it's time for him to hang it up and just enjoy a life because that really is a lot of stress to put on a 76-year-old person.
I mean, there's some people that's what makes them happy, though. So
yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean,
you're right. I mean, look at Belichick. He's still coaching, and God knows he's getting close to 80.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I would be just fine with retiring, hanging out on a yacht.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Look at Bobby Knight, how long Bobby Knight coached. Look at Coach K when he was at Duke and how long they coached. Like, they coached until they were like 75. Bobby Knight was like 78, I think, when he retired. Mm-hmm. Like, these people just like to just be coaching and just get away from everything for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of them that is their happy place, which, that's awesome. So, wouldn't be me, but I am just fine with hanging out on the water. But yeah, I mean, some of these people that is what it is they want to be. So, I mean, I'm not mad at it.
And it does look, the interim coach, Mitch Johnson, if he does get that job, wouldn't be a bad one because he went, 31-45 under him. And this is a team that is still very much in rebuild kind of mode, with Wemby and company. So it's not a bad record to have considering all the factors.
No, I mean, they're not a terrible team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it's going to take them a ton to be in the mix again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll see.
Well, no, I mean, when you think about it, over half the league goes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true. All you gotta do is get to the 10 spot. Just get to the 10 spot. You're good.
Right? Like, you don't have to be great. You can be okay and, make the playoffs.
You can be 10 games under 500 and get the 10 seed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be good. You don't even have to be average.
No, you could be below. But I think Golden State was a prime example, though, of maybe sometimes why the plan's good. Because when they got Jimmy Butler, they still made the plan, and then they were able to obviously be where they are currently. So I think there are certain situations where I think the play-in is, I guess, beneficial, but I don't know if I'm a fully 100% a play-in guy. I feel like it should just be 1 through 8, and let's get the damn thing started, But
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the play-in. Like,
and the only reason I think
it's
it's got to be money, right, Bo? I mean, this is a money thing, right?
Yeah, it's money. Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. But I mean, for me, be good enough to make the playoffs.
I'm only a fan of the play-in if my team makes it. Otherwise, if they miss it, then I'm not a fan of it.
I mean, even if my team was still around, I would still think it was dumb.
By the way, God rest in peace, Supersonics.
That's right. That's right. But no, I mean, I would still think it's dumb. Like, I'm not a big fan of when it's expanded to the point that everybody gets in like that. What are we doing?
Right.
Like, if you're going to make the playoffs, I want you to be good all year. I don't want you to like accidentally trip and get in and play good all year. Let's do that.
It's a lot easier said than done.
No, that's why not everybody gets to go to the playoffs. This isn't everybody gets a trophy. Win some games.
Participation, Bo. Come on, it's participation, baby.
It's
Let's
dumb.
go.
It is
And
dumb.
the one thing I will say though, that I'm more often than not, I'm not okay with it, but this just kind of makes the whole load management argument more worth the while for these teams, because if they know you can just make the play-in by just like kind of backing into the playoffs, they can be like, I'll just load manage my injuries a little bit longer. Like, I'll keep them out an extra week or two, and all we got to do is get to that 10 spot, and all of a sudden we're magically healthy.
Yeah, it's funny though. Does it work out well? Because if you look back to the Jordan era, the average viewership was 2.72 million people, right?
Yeah.
The closest the LeBron era has gotten at the height of it, when he joined the Heat, was 251. And there was only 3 years since 99 that it's eclipsed 2 million. So I can't say that this has been good for the league. Last year was 1.59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it 1.9 or 1.59. So
you are too far off. Yeah.
That is a long way off, because the best years.
No, I meant on your phone. You said, yeah.
Oh no, I wrote it down. I remembered it right. But it was a topic I was going to bring up anyway, because somebody was mad about my comment yesterday saying that this league has been dying.
It is dying.
It's dying because nobody plays defense anymore. It's dying because of all the load management where you just randomly sit like all your healthy stars because you don't want them to play back-to-back games anymore. And it's dying because people care more about the three-point shot now instead of basic fundamental basketball.
Well,
it basically goes back to what Pax was saying about punchy ball. It's almost like you're doing punchy ball. You're either going to go for the layup or you're going to do punchy ball and just see how many you can make.
Well, and I mean, the fact that everybody gets in also cheapens the sport, because it doesn't matter if you watch all year. Why would you watch? Most of the league's going to make the playoffs anyway. There's no reason to watch this sport.
Right. You're right. I mean, and again, I know they do a lot of this, try to brand your person as more about branding the sport in terms of individual player branding and things like that, more than it is about the game itself. And I don't know if it's some of it has to do with the ticky-tack fouls and all the fouls that get called because you don't let players be physical. Some of us like that physical game. I enjoyed watching physical, style of ball, But I also did watch a special of LeBron flopping, and it was amazing. There was like nobody around him like 8 or 9 different times. And I saw the one where he peeks up to see if the ref was looking. I mean, come on. None of this stuff do we want to watch. Yeah. It's like they said, are you wearing LeBrons? Because I know you're not wearing LeBrons. You're probably wearing Jordans.
Joe, the NBA isn't getting soft. It's been soft for a minute.
Yeah, it has been soft. It has been soft.
Yeah. Man, they're both trash.
I still say the Pro Bowl because they're playing flag football on a 40-yard field.
I mean, the NBA All-Star game, not the one before where there was over 400 points put up. Like that was probably the dumbest All-Star game I've watched.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. MLB, NFL, NBA have all changed the sport to some degree, right? In terms of the rules, how it's played, things like that.
Sure.
The one sport that I've never seen change, but it's still a very big moneymaker all across the freaking world is soccer. How is it that soccer, which is probably one of the oldest sports around, doesn't change the game, but yet still maintains its popularity?
Squeaky sneakers and whistles. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not much you can change in soccer, though.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's things you can change in
I don't
soccer.
watch the sport.
But you know what though? But seriously, but they never, nothing ever. It's always the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But yet that sport stays extremely popular all over the world.
Sure.
Should maybe these NBA and NFL, MLB execs go talk to the soccer execs and say, hey, what can we do to make our brand like your brand? Because obviously their brand's been working for over 100 years or at 100 years,
Yeah, I think they probably want to stay away from a business model like FIFA. They probably don't want to do that.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, they make all these changes trying to improve the sport, trying to make the watchability better, and it hasn't.
I mean,
Like you just said, the numbers you just talked about the NBA clearly says, yes, you did all these things and has done nothing to increase the popularity of your sport.
that's because soccer is such a much more simpler game, though. There's like a lot less rules that go into the mix. There's a lot less things that you can call like foul-wise. Like football, you have endless penalties you can throw just for the random crap you want to throw. Same thing for the NBA. Soccer, there's like 3 fouls you can call. Like you can't really change too much of that because it's 3 things that anybody that watches soccer knows what it is. And soccer is a world sport. Like Joe said, soccer is like like religion in Italy. Italy
But why is it like religion? It's like religion because people buy into it. NBA back in the the early days, Jordans and Abdul Jabbars and Magic and all that. It was good. Like it was soulful. It had a soul. It had a spirit in it. I look at the game now, and it's about as hollow as anything else. I mean, it's just that they took all the soul out of the game, thinking it was going to get better, and it didn't ever get better. It got worse. Load management is a pile of shit. The lack of physicality is a pile of shit. The ticky-tack fouls that all they call, it's ridiculous.
And on that note, I'm going to roll.
Yep.
Later, guys.
Have fun.
Hey,
Well, at least you're not mad about it, Jay.
and I guess it's just because I've watched the game. I know what the game was like back in those days. I know what the game is like today.
Sure.
And I don't mind change. If change is good for the game, I'm all for it. But it hasn't been good for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I watched both eras, and the 90s was definitely the most fun watch.
It was, right?
But yeah, I mean, again, I went over some of these numbers because again, somebody was mad about me saying this league has been dying, but all the numbers showed that it is. The only time that the LeBron era has even been close was the first 3 years of when he joined the Heat. That incidentally is also the only 3 years it's been above 2 million.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, like nobody's watching this and hasn't been watching it for a long time. And then being at 159 this last year, I can only imagine what it is this year. Like it's probably a fuzz better. It's probably like 1.61 or something.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers aren't official yet, so I don't know. But still, like it's not great. Like people aren't watching it.
Right.
I think Adam Silver should be. I wonder what he's thinking when he looks at those numbers. I know everybody gets those numbers. I mean, what is he thinking? Is he thinking to himself, "Hey, we tried to do all this stuff and it's not working"? You know what I'm saying?
But I think a lot of it too. I think a lot of it too is you have to look at who was playing basketball in the 90s, though. You have to look at how many Hall of Famers were playing in that era, as opposed to how many Hall of Famers are in this era now.
Like,
yes,
there's going to be Hall of Famers in this area.
There's going to be, but like it seemed like back in the 90s and even the early 2000s, it seemed like every team had one Hall of Famer on their roster at that point.
Joe, I would bet this is because you guys have international basketball.
Yeah.
Right? So, whereas you don't have football, I mean, you sort of have football because you guys are part of the European Football League, but that's not really the same thing. Whereas you get to see your national team actually do stuff. So I would imagine that's why basketball is a little more popular.
Yeah, because like right now, like I'd say there's probably 20, maybe 25 Hall of Famers that are playing right now that have or at least that have a chance to be Hall of Famers when they're done. But several teams have like multiple players on their roster versus back in the 90s. I think you could look at every single roster and say this guy was a Hall of Famer, this guy was a Hall of Famer. Like every roster seemed like they had one Hall of Fame player back in the 90s.
The Hall of Fame, it keeps getting easier and easier to get into. I would bet that most rosters today also have Hall of Famers on them.
I mean, you look at
Exactly.
This is no knock against Houston, Jay, so don't take it like it's a knock against Houston. But back in the 90s, obviously Houston had Hakeem Olajuwon, Hall of Famer.
Why would I say no disrespect? I mean, no disrespect, but did they disrespect? Why is that?
No, because Bo was saying that like you could look at every NBA roster and say they probably have a Hall of Famer. Do you think Houston's roster right now has a Hall of Famer on? Like
no,
they're
as it is, no, we're a bunch of rookies right now.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not really a fair question.
The league has gotten younger in this generation as opposed to in the 90s. It was like a more experienced league back in the 90s. Like a lot of these teams had like their roster.
Yeah, because those teams were assembled in the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But that's why basketball was so good in the 90s because a lot of these teams stayed together.
You know, there are a few times.
In the 90s, Wait.
Hold on.
Wait. Okay. So they were assembled in the 80s, so they had the experience in the 90s. These teams are being assembled now, so I'm going to bet in a few years you're going to see Hall of Fame caliber guys.
What I was trying to say, though, like back in the 90s, how many high school players were drafted back in the 90s? How many one-and-done players were drafted in the 90s as opposed to now? Like back in the 90s, you actually had most of your draftees were 3-4-year college players. You didn't have a lot of these.
One-and-done wasn't even a thing then.
But high school was, and you still weren't getting a lot of players coming out of high school back then.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think the brand of basketball was better in the 90s because you didn't have these kids coming out of high school. You had all these more experienced college players that spent 3-4 years in college that had a more well-rounded and more complete game when they got to the NBA, as opposed to now, the league continues to get younger and younger. So, yes, you might be a generational talent in college or a generational talent like Victor Wembanyama when he was overseas, but it takes these guys 3 or 4 years to kind of well-round their game out when they get to the NBA because they don't have that college experience.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really making an argument because all that means is they're getting this experience, which means in a few years they'll be Hall of Fame caliber guys. Like what?
You know what? The thing for me, Bo, the thing for me is, and this is where I think the game kind of went left for me. Number one, like I said, they took out the physicality, the ticky-tack fouls. That was part of it. The other part of it was, I used to love watching the magic of, the 17-foot jumper, the sky hook, all the different other little things, all those little nuances, right? When they took that out of the game, and now it's just three or layup, there was a lot that was lost in the middle of that.
Yeah, the mid-range game is gone, and it's unfortunate because that was some of the more fun stuff to watch when it came to Jordan and Kobe, and because they would work those defenders to get that fadeaway jumper, and that was fun basketball to watch. Right.
I mean, there was nothing better than watch a fadeaway baseline jumper. Olajuwon was like the best at it. I mean, Olajuwon, I think he perfected the fadeaway, the turnaround fadeaway. They'll call it the dream shake, fadeaway off the baseline. Now, him and Michael Jordan obviously was another really good one that would do that. I mean, but you don't have the centers of highly technical skills, right? I mean, not highly technical skills. You do have that. I want to say because they're hitting three balls and this, that, and the other. Well, but the creativeness with the sky hook, you don't have that sky hook, that low post.
Nobody had the sky hook.
I had the sky hook. Well, but you know what? But like, I mean, I think that's another thing, though, right? You had the 17-foot jumper or mid-range jumper that got rid of, but then you also had the low post. And when they got rid of the low post, that's where all your battles were won. That's where all the physicality was. And I miss that. I miss that low post game, which isn't there anymore.
No, and that's what got rid of bigs in the game, really.
Right. Like the last legitimate big that we had was Dwight Howard. Like the last legitimate big that would just like sit in the paint and like work the paint in like the 90s. Like Dwight Howard was the last of that generational style center.
Well, because you don't have to play that anymore.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. But, like, he was, like, legitimately the last one where you could be like, oh, that's a center that's going to get you 20 touches in the paint and convert on at least 50, 60% of his shots. But now it's like everybody's like, oh, I can maybe, like, even Joel Embiid. Like, Joel Embiid does go in the paint every now and then. He doesn't do it often, but he's shown that when he goes in the paint, like, he does have very good post moves. Where if he would just camp his body in the paint, he could score probably 20, 30 points just in the paint. He does it maybe twice a game. Then it's like, oh, I'll just stand up at the perimeter now and fire threes the rest of the game. It's like, you're 7'1", 280. Like, you have good post moves. Park your butt down there, get the ball, throw a head fake, and go up.
No, and that's probably one of the most frustrating things is when you're watching some of these games. These guys are 7-footers and they're launching threes. It's like,
bro,
like, how come we don't get these offensive rebounds? Like, well, I don't know, because your tall guy is near the logo and he's not in position to get the thing. Like, what are we doing?
Like Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren are a little bit different just because they're 7'1" and Victor's 7'4", 7'5", but they don't have like any meat on their body yet. Like Victor would not be able to camp his body in the paint and kind of like battle with somebody down there because he doesn't have the size to do that yet.
But he has the height.
He could be the next Elijah when it comes to the sky hook and just sit like 10 feet away from the hoop and just throw a sky hook up.
I mean, just work on your mid range. And the thing is if you're shooting from out there, they come up on you. All of a sudden, it opens your ability to get to the basket. So,
or it opens up somebody else's ability to get to the basket with a quick feed, which means you could be an assist machine almost.
Like plus, if you're down there, you know what you can get? Rebounds.
Points? What?
Like Jokic has turned more into like the outside shooting center the last couple of years, and Jokic was always a good post player early in his career.
Sure. Yeah, but the game has just moved away from it.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to work on those skills. It also means that a lot of these guys don't have the ball handling that they once did. Like you see your perimeter shooters have good ball handling skills, right? Because people are coming out to defend them and they get around you and whatever. But yeah, like the whole mid-range part of the game is gone.
No, I really think though that's where a lot of the art of basketball, the artistry of basketball, the soul of basketball. When you took away the low post and the mid-range jumper and the physicality of the game, it really lost a big identity that I don't think it's ever really going to get back. I don't know. I mean, unless I make some drastic changes to kind of go back towards the game used to be. More it gets away from that, I have a hard time thinking it's going to come back, Bo.
They sure did let them battle it out in the playoffs so far, though. They've let some physicality come back into this game. Now, if they let some of that stay in there, all of a sudden you could see a product that's a little more enjoyable to watch.
And like what you said about the physicality, the players have not liked the physicality because it's something they're not used to. And all of a sudden it's just like, you're going to let them do that now? We played the whole season without this. Now you're going to let them just like hammer us?
Right.
Because of this. The NBA is soft.
As Charmin. Matter of fact, Charmin should be a sponsor of the NBA.
100%.
Give me some good 3-ply Charmin, baby. Don't give me that 1-ply sandpaper like they had back in the 80s. You give me that 3-ply.
Yep. It's the edge and everything.
But I mean, it's. I think the game was a game 5. Game 5 of the not game 5. Excuse me. I'm gonna go back to game 4. Game 4 of the Rockets Golden State. That physicality that we saw in that game was beautiful. Oh, it was so beautiful, man. And even though we lost and we didn't get the win, I still really enjoyed watching that level of physicality and not seeing all the fouls get called. And I really think, to your point, Bo, I would like to see the game, if nothing else, just let it go back to that. And I think I would be somewhat happy.
Yeah, I mean, you should be calling hard fouls and technicals and stuff like that. Like all of that should still be a thing.
Yeah.
But if you're hand checking a little bit, and I mean, come on, it's basketball. Like you're gonna get that if you go out to any park anywhere, right? Or the gym or any people are gonna play you like that. So I don't know why the pros can't. Maybe let's make it so that you can't take 5 steps, right? Maybe let's get back to the 2.5, right? Like that'd be cool. Maybe let's just use some of the rules that are part of the game.
In all honesty, if I was out there, how the UFL is now kind of like the next underneath the NFL type of thing, creating new leagues, whatever. If I was going to come out and create a new league in the basketball world, I would go back to 1990 rules and say, this is our new league. This is how it's going to be played. And this is how we're going to compete with the NBA.
Yeah, I believe
you know what I'm saying?
They call that 3-on-3. If you watch 3-on-3, they beat each
3 on
other.
3 is, yeah, 3 on 3.
I haven't seen 3-on-3. I've heard of it. I have not watched it. Is that what? Is that how they're playing it though?
Yeah, they let you get after it.
They play like it's at the park.
Yeah, they let
hell
you.
yeah.
Yeah, you beat each other up. So if you want to
Baron,
watch some physical basketball, 3-on-3 is the route.
Baron Davis was the founder of that, correct?
I don't remember who started it initially.
What time period? When does that usually kick off?
Summer.
Yeah,
It's a summertime deal.
yeah.
Okay.
It's basically as soon as the league is done.
Yeah, I remember. I think the
about 3
first
weeks, and then it kicks off.
Yeah. The first year that it started, Baron Davis and Ron Artest were going against each other, and they legitimately got after it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about elbows and like not punches, but like hard elbows, hard fouls being thrown. Davis and
Yeah,
Artest
you're like
went after,
leaning a shoulder in.
like
to
Davis and
take it
Artest went after it, and the referees are just letting it just go the whole game. I'm like, these two played in the 90s. These two know what it's like to be physical.
Yeah, no, it 100%. If you want to watch physical basketball, 3-on-3 is where it's at. And Chris, we actually started our basketball segment with that.
Yeah, Mitch Johnson was just hired as their next head coach too. So that was the first.
I figured he would be. He played pretty good after taking over for Pop. Mitch did a good job. So I feel like, and Pop's going to be there over his shoulder, helping him out, making sure he's still in good. Yeah. I mean, they got a good thing over there in San Antonio.
Yep. Yeah. And then sticking with basketball for a minute, JJ Redick kind of in a press conference sort of buries Luka a little bit. So I guess the honeymoon period is over because he's like, oh, yeah, some of our guys are in incredible shape and some of them aren't in championship shape, and we need to get back to championship shape. So
yeah, I saw that
roster that isn't in phenomenal shape as Luka. So that seemed like I don't even know why you don't just say his name at that point, because you're
So some of our tall European people aren't exactly in the best of basketball shape.
I mean, it's kind of like that football anonymous report, but it's like as pointed towards the guy as possible. It's like, come on, man, just put your name on it. You're obviously saying that he had a bad interview with you, right? So this is, this was funny because it's like, man, like everybody knows you're talking about Luka, right? He's a liability on defense, and he's not in the best shape. I feel like you could have just been like, yeah, we were hoping to see a little more out of Luka during this series. Like that, you could have done that instead of just burying the guy. Be like, yeah, we got this really out of shape guy, and I don't know if you saw him or not, but he's a starter.
that we traded for mid-season,
Right.
and he's just really out of shape.
Man, it seemed hilarious. It seemed like a weird way to go about it.
At least the Pelicans' old GM never shied away from calling Zion out of shape.
Yeah.
Like when Zion kept getting hurt, the GM of the Pelicans at the time basically said Zion's overweight and he's got to get in shape. Like he didn't hesitate from it. He's just like, I'm gonna call it how I see it. The guy's overweight. He's got to get out of shape.
Yeah. Well, and it was funny because on LeBron's end of it, he's just like, oh, yeah, I'm not really going to say anything. I mean, when AD was here and got traded, he said what he needed to say, and next week he was gone. So I don't have a comment.
Wow.
It's like, that is hilarious.
The only comment I have is I don't know if I'm going to play next year or not. That's the only comment I have to say.
Yeah, but he has that every year. He's basketball's version of Aaron Rodgers. He's just like, yeah, I might retire. I might not. I need the whole offseason to talk about me.
Yeah. I mean, and look, at this point, I mean, Braun is still good enough I don't think he's good enough to be your, the guy you depend on, but he still has, some good basketball still, I think, left in him. How much more? I don't know.
If he's an off-ball player, he can absolutely keep playing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If he's not your number one option, he can absolutely keep playing. And, if you got Luka in some better shape, he can be that guy. Like he's super dominant, not in shape. So, and the thing that's funny is if you look at the losses, their numbers actually look great until you look at when the bad parts of it was always in the fourth quarter in every loss.
Mhm.
Like they couldn't get anything going. They couldn't hit shots. And why is that? Well, because you're not in the best shape ever. So
let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys a question.
Well, hold on just a second. So
Okay.
when it comes to LeBron, he's just old, so he's tired. And when it comes to Luka, he's out of shape, so he's tired. Right? So, I mean, if you're going to have the number one guy in Luka, you need him to be able to survive the fourth quarter.
Oh, for sure.
Good.
Oh, yeah. Damn, I done lost my train of thought. Never mind. Hell, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. Damn, I done lost my damn train of thought.
The thing about LeBron though too is why LeBron has been able to play as long as he has and at the level that he has been able to play at. It's because of the NBA not being as physical as what it once was. You put LeBron back in like that Michael Jordan era when basketball was like extremely physical, he would not be playing at 41 years old. And if he was there, he would not be anywhere near the level he is at now because his body would have eventually broken down. Like
I mean, his knees would be toast.
Yeah, that's why like he can keep playing just because he knows his body's not going to have the toll on it that it would have had back then. So it's just like if the league's not going to be physical and I don't have to worry about my body taking that much of a toll, play me 30 minutes a game. I'll put up 15, 20 shots. If I hit 7 or 8 of them, I'm giving you 20 points a game.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly why I say if he wants to be the off the ball, he wants to be your number 2 target, he can keep playing. There's no question. You just need whoever's in that first role. AD wasn't that dude. Luka, we'll find out. But yeah, if he can be that second option, yeah, he absolutely has some years left.
That's what I was going to ask. So, look. Oh, damn.
Good.
Yeah, they are good. It's my nemesis. But anyway, do you feel like, after the 2020 championship, the Lakers kind of went into that funk, right? Where, they just kind of started falling apart. They kind of started sinking down to the bottom, left, right, up and down. Do you think at that time, maybe around the 21-22 season, they should have maybe traded Bron and brought in some picks or starters to kind of start rebuilding way back then so that we got to now? They would maybe be a little bit more ahead of that curve than basically having a 41-year-old Bron that you don't know if he's coming back. I felt like they really kind of missed out on capitalizing on whatever Bron had still left in the tank in terms of picks that they could have gotten.
I mean, so the thing with the Lakers is they're more about flash than winning at this point. And so they want guys that have big names to put people in the seats.
Yes.
Like, that's what they care about. So I don't think that they're really that worried about it because LeBron still has a big enough draw that people are there. And because more than half the league gets in the playoffs, you don't have to be an elite team anymore, right? Like you can be middle of the pack and you find your way in. So in fact, it almost is beneficial if you are a play-in team because you get a couple extra ticket sales.
Yep.
So I don't think they have the love for winning the way they used to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%. And that kind of makes me wonder if when or either before or after when Giannis does come available, if he decides, if they don't trade him, he waits the end of his contract or his contract comes up, he becomes a free agent. Do you think at some point if he does leave Milwaukee that he finds his way over to LA?
I mean, LA is always looking for stars, right? So
yeah,
it would never shock me for LA to go grab somebody.
Right. Because I think Giannis would be that next big name after Bron. That would, like you said, A, put butts in the seats, and B, you pair him along with an out of shape, belly fat, donut eating Luka, and he might actually have something there.
I mean, I don't think it's that bad. Jeez.
Damn.
I'm sorry. It just kind of came out of my mouth, and I just kept going with it. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. You're describing him as like he's Mr. Stay Puffed. Like, what are we doing?
Okay, my bad.
This is not tractor trailer out here.
Well, I mean, but he, and I did exaggerate a lot on him, but But in all honesty, though, if you did watch that game, and you can easily say it's 46 minutes. Okay, I get it that they played Luka and he did look tired, things like that. Okay, you can give him that. But a lot of people play high levels of minutes. You know, the Tatums of the world do that. You know, they're out there playing.
So to give you a number on it, in their losses, they were outscored by 29 points.
Right.
So that lets you know how little they were able to accomplish in the fourth quarters of those games.
Right. Yeah.
And that comes down to being gassed. Either you're old or out of shape, or in this case, both. It's a problem. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we already got some good games still going on tonight. I think, well, actually, we have a good game going on tonight. The Rockets and Warriors are going to battle it out one more time and back in Golden State to see if A, the Rockets can tie it up and bring it back to Houston, or B, if we just join them in Cancun. Listen, Luka is probably going to pop in here one day, say, Jay, what the heck did I do to you? I'm going to say, nothing. Nothing at all.
Didn't share your Twinkies, bastard.
Bam!
Hey, if our show's popular enough to get Luka to pop on, I'm not going to say nothing either.
I mean, I would say something like, why not? He's already here. Man.
No, so tonight, though, we do have a pretty good game. I think it's going to be chippy. I think the Rockets are trying to get back into this thing. So I expect a lot of chippiness in this.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have to really kind of lean on them defensively, right? Like they're gonna have to beat them up. I did find it absolutely hilarious that Dylan Brooks was saying that was calling any player dirty based on the way he plays, which is one of the dirtiest guys out there. If it was anyone else on the team, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I mean, Draymond's kind of a dirty player, no question. Right. When it's Dylan Brooks, you're just like, dude, you probably need to sit down. Actually,
can we have Dylan Brooks and Draymond go at it in 3-on-3 eventually?
I just want to see him 1-on-1.
But have him go to the 3-on-3 league. I want to see how physical those two guys get with each other in the 3-on-3 league.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to them speaking about dirtiness, I think him and Draymond are kind of in the same category.
No. That's why I said they absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I know, yeah, definitely, because him and Draymond, they're like they must have came from the same womb at some point, and got separated, and now are being joined. Right. I don't know.
No, and it's funny because in 3-on-3, somehow they'd end up on the same team, right? They'd have one good shooter and then two goons.
Right. They would just fight each other.
And if I had any, and I'm sure Ime is probably telling the Rockets this already. I'm pretty sure he's smart enough to know this. Is that, if I'm speaking to my team going out there tonight, I'm gonna say, look, guys, if we can beat Golden State, we can beat Golden State, but we gotta do Rocket basketball and not get involved in 3-point contest, right? We go to the paint. We drive the paint. We play hardcore defense. And for the love of God, we hit our free throws.
Yeah.
If you just hit your free throws, do your rebounding, play your defense, and go to the paint, we can beat this team.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. Is you guys just aren't a great free throw shooting team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just, for whatever reason, that is a very real struggle for you guys.
It is. And that's why I'm saying the key to them to win is they're going to have to. They're going to have to. If they don't learn to do that, then they need to spend the next offseason and either get better at it or figure out who can be better at it.
And you can bet on whether or not you think they can hit a free throw to save their life right here with Coast to Coast using the QR code on the screen. Up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee when they don't hit any of them. And so use the QR code on the screen to bet right alongside us here on Coast to Coast. And of course, if you are in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code right here. Free 5-day pass at any of the 3 True Fusion Gym locations: Bellevue, Ballard, University Village. Find your edge, True Fusion Gym. All right.
I like the True Fusion Gym. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of basketball because Who cares?
Hey, when my team's not in the playoffs, that's exactly how I feel too.
My team is never in the playoffs.
No, you. Well, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
But now, so interestingly, we got Steve Smith Sr. getting sued. If you remember back in February, he was caught up in some controversy about a band member for the Ravens. And now her husband is filing a lawsuit, $100,000 civil suit that I would imagine will get it will probably just get settled, right? $100K to Steve Smith Sr. is nothing. And if he settles it, then this story goes away. So I imagine this is more or less how it's going to go down. But, he allegedly hooked up with, a band member. Got to throw that in there. But, interesting that there's a lawsuit that can be filed in Maryland that I wasn't aware
Home
of.
wrecker law, baby.
Yeah.
You just can't lay down with another man's wife and not have to pay some money for it.
I had no idea that was a law. I would imagine it's the only state that it is because I had never heard of that before.
I only knew that. I only knew about that because I lived in D.C. for a little while, so I did know about that home wrecker law. But I always told my ex-wife, I said, "Man, I put a sign on the back that says, go ahead, hit it if you want. I need some money."
Yeah, I mean, again, home wrecker law. I was not aware of such a law existing. That was wild. That is wild. Now, I guess in this case, because there's audio and texts and stuff, it'll be easy for him to prove, right?
Oh yeah.
That's why I think this gets settled, and it's a low enough number that he probably just writes a check and calls it a day. But and I guess if you're that guy, you're like, well, I'm getting divorced. I might as well get a $100,000 come up.
I'm really surprised he just kept it at 100. I would ask for a little bit more than that, me personally.
Well, I think if you get greedy, then you got to actually go to court. If it's $100K and you got a guy that's worth, tens of millions of dollars, he probably just writes you a check.
That's what I'm saying. So why not go for $200,000 or $300,000?
Well, I mean, I suppose
he might still get that. I'm sure he probably still pays that.
Yeah, maybe but at the same time, it's Steve Smith and he likes to fight, so he may have wanted to go to court.
Hey, and the only reason I say that is cost of living around the DC area, Maryland area can get a little pricey, so that's why I would have asked just for a little bit more.
Well, the guy
now,
may
what
not
happened here in Houston, $100,000 goes a long way in Houston. Not so far in that part of the area.
I mean, the guy might be moving. Who knows?
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Damn, I would move too if I was him. Fuck it.
It's not like he's trying to hang out.
You know what I'm saying?
I would imagine they're getting divorced, so he doesn't need to stay for her job. But no, I just thought it was interesting because of the law that they have. That's
I wonder if they're the only state that has that law, or if there's other states.
I don't know.
That had that as well. Or if that's just particular to Maryland.
I wasn't aware they had it, so. But yeah. I would be interested to see, how many states have it. That would.
What's the law called, Jay?
It's just like
the home wrecker law,
basically, which is hilarious.
Well, they do wreck the home a little bit, or at least her home.
I mean, a lot, right? Like it usually destroys people's houses. It's not a high percentage of people that are like, "Oh, you cheated on me. Cool, let's hang out still."
6 states.
Okay.
Have you ever wanted to sue someone you believe broke up your marriage, a home wrecker? Well, in 6 states, Hawaii, Illinois, New Mexico, North Carolina, Mississippi, South Dakota, and Utah, you can, in those 6 states, the alienation of affection claim is an option.
that is a weird collection of states because they are.
That
not
is a weird collection of states.
I mean, I could see Utah being on that list with all the Mormons and whatnot. That don't surprise me. But
What are you talking about? It seems like that would be a weird one because why wouldn't you just add them as an extra wife, right? Polygamy's fine.
Hawaii too on that list. Just like, they're so far away from all of us anyways. They got to do something to get the attention on them, I guess.
I mean, is there enough people in New Mexico to even worry about it?
Well, I was just thinking the same thing about South freaking Dakota. I mean, that's mostly farmland. You ain't got but two choices. Look, there's only 3 women in the damn town, and they're all taken. Dude, it's either your wife or the cow, and I'm not going to go with the cow, so we're going to go with your wife. I'm sorry.
You know, I'm going to go with there's some very obvious states that are probably not watching this show anymore if they were. They're like, these guys are jerks.
What a time to be alive.
I appreciate that, Chad. Definitely like and subscribe. It does help us. Man, but yeah, that was a weird collection of states. I was thinking it was going to be states that were kind of close to each other, right? But that's really just kind of spread out.
Man, I'm telling you, that is now the Mississippi didn't really throw me off because look, in Mississippi, I don't feel how many of y'all ever been through Mississippi, but I totally get why that law would be in Mississippi because there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes down in them places.
Yeah, I've only flown over it. That's it.
Oh man, yeah, Mississippi. That's a whole new world down there. By the way, we love Mississippi, except Brett Favre. Brett Favre, you can go to hell with all you did, but everybody else, we love you, Mississippi.
To be fair, I haven't spent a lot of time in the middle. I tend to fly places where there's water.
There is water. It's called the Mississippi River.
Yeah. Don't care about that.
Mississippi has about
this river here too. I still don't spend a lot of time on it.
Well, Mississippi does touch the ocean, but not much. Just a little sliver of it.
Yeah, not enough for me to want to fly there.
No, you don't necessarily want to fly to Mississippi. There really, truthfully, is nothing in Mississippi. Literally.
Yeah, it was probably like my trip to Mobile. There ain't nothing there. And they have water.
Yeah, at least in Mississippi, they got the Biloxi Shuckers.
The what?
The Biloxi Shuckers. That's the minor league. That's the minor league. That's the minor league baseball team in Biloxi, Mississippi. The Biloxi Shuckers.
Yeah, I'm definitely not flying somewhere to watch minor league baseball.
Yeah,
I have minor league baseball 10 minutes from my house.
Tacoma?
No. I'm further north. I'm the Aqua Sox.
Oh, Everett.
Yeah.
Everett Aqua Sox.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I don't make it to many of their games.
But who is the minor league? What club is affiliated down in Mississippi?
The Brewers have the Biloxi Shuckers.
Okay.
And then there is the Mississippi Braves. Obviously, the Atlanta Braves affiliation there. And then there's like 1 or 2 more teams in Mississippi, but the 2 main ones are the Biloxi Shuckers and then obviously the Mississippi Braves.
Frankie popping in right at the end to throw some shade.
Yeah, it would be Frankie if he wasn't throwing some shade. Let me tell you. Wow.
Good stuff. Let's see. The only other thing is there any teams in the AL West that's actually good?
I don't know. Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. The Rangers lost to the Athletics yesterday, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I really didn't see. I really kind of thought the Rangers might take that one, but yeah.
Well, and then we start our series with them coming up, I think. But the big thing is none of the teams in the West are really
separated.
They don't really look like they would be real competitive against the leaders of any of the other divisions.
It's like It's like probably.
Well, hold on. Hold the phone on that one just for a second. Houston just took the series from Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying but I understand your point. I mean, Yankees would be pretty. Now we did also take the series from Toronto too, but I think I think to your point, the Mets, Dodgers, Padres.
Toronto's so inconsistent. I would leave that one off of your.
I think
I agree.
AL
No, I agree with that. I agree with
No,
that.
it's just funny because like when you're looking at other divisions, there's some very real separation, and when you look at this one, like it's still anybody's race. Which in some ways you're like, oh, cool, right? But then on the other end, you're looking at it like they're not playing. Like they're playing okay baseball. It's not like they're bad, but it's not great. And
it's not consistent.
Yeah.
Well, and the Mariners are the only ones that don't have a negative run differential at the moment.
I think the AL West of this year is very similar to the NL Central of 2011 when the Cardinals won the division at 83 and 79. Like everybody in that division was between 83 and 79 and 70.
Killing me, Bo.
Well, no. So this is exactly my point. Is I think whoever wins this division is less than 90 games.
But hold on. You just said in the West that you guys are the only ones that the Astros got a plus 13.
Oh, okay. So the numbers that I had was from a few days ago. So you guys had a couple of good games, but still, it doesn't matter. You're right around that 0 mark where you're seeing, other teams that are leading their divisions.
Oh, for sure.
But that's my whole point is we could have a division winner with less than 90 games.
Yeah, Joe, we did take the series from the Padres, but Bo doesn't recognize us because right now he's on top, so he's smoking that high air right now.
Yeah, I'm totally not. In fact, I just said our whole division is trash. I feel like you missed everything I just said.
I'm not going to say your division is trash. I just think your division is the one division this year where everyone's kind of on the same level. You don't have like that one team that's going to completely pull away from each other. You don't have like the bad Oakland teams of the past, well, Sacramento now, but the bad Athletics teams of the past that are going to fall like 30, 40 games out by the end of the season. You just have 5 teams that are very similar.
I still have faith they will.
Well, no, the way you look at the standing, the way you look at the standings right now, though, it's like you have 5 teams that are kind of all in that same level of playing field where everyone's separated by like 5 or 6 games where one hot streak can take you from first to last, one hot streak can take you from last to first.
And if you want to bet on that, you can get that tip.
Yeah, exactly. You can use that QR code. Just rewind a little bit. You'll be able to hit that up. But yeah, no, it's but that's my whole point. Is there's no separation within this division. They're playing very similarly.
Yep.
Now there's some injuries around too, so I would expect that on the Mariners end they'll get their pitching back, and then the bats will come back down to earth, right? Because they're hitting really well at the moment. I don't expect them to be able to do that all year. When you look at the Astros, I think you guys will start to be able to hit the ball a little bit. Your pitching staff has been great, but the hitting hasn't quite been there consistently.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I expect there to become some separation, but because of the way that they're winning these games and stuff, it does look like you could be I don't think it would be a less than 80 situation, but I could absolutely see it as your division winner, 85 to 89. Like I could see that being your win total.
Historically though, in our division, at least over the last 3 or 4 years, the 3 clubs, Seattle, Texas, Houston, have notoriously been left and right until the very end. I mean, we've played that card out, 3 or 4 years now. I mean, it's not like this is just all of a sudden this division is like that. We've been like this for at least 3 years now.
No,
so I don't want to put too much stock into that, but
the problem with that is you're not getting wild card teams, right?
True.
So that's where it runs into a little bit of a problem. When you're cannibalizing yourself within the division, you're only getting your division winner into the playoffs, and so that's where it becomes problematic, right, for the other clubs. But that being said, that gets us to the top of the hour. It's Friday. Hopefully you guys are doing something fun this weekend. If you're here in the Pacific Northwest, join me tonight, Major League Rugby, Starfire Center down in Tukwila, 7:30 start time. So other than that, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.